Ahoy, fellow sleeveless gym bunnies.
And welcome aboard the joy of Trek, an anomalous dark matter podcast exploring the daddy issues and cool names of Star Trek. All of it. I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
And out in the galactic barrier is your chief engineer, Greg.
Together we're on a mission through the dark spaces of Star Trek.
Yes, the void.
To find the crew members in every transport buffer and the excellence in every episode.
Even the trauma hallucinations.
Because every episode must be someone's favorite, and it might as well be us.
So finger your spore jelly and join us as we sing along into the joy of Trek. I wonder how many people actually got that one.
Which one?
The various clues that I cleverly dropped. I mean,
right, yes.
The fact that I missed a bit is probably a clue that, you know, Kaki did it this time. It's one of those little signatures of mine, like dropping a little stitch every now and again.
Whoopsie.
A little whoopsie. Yes, a little space whoopsie.
Yes. Ooh, there have been a few space whoopsies in this episode.
Stormy Weather.
I don't think I actually heard that song ever before.
Neither did I. I don't actually know where it's from.
Oh,
Seems like the kind of thing.
It sounds one of those classic songs from the early 20s, which are now out of copyright, so Paramount can use them.
Oh, nice! Yeah,
she's like, the obsession of various Star Trek crew members with out of copyright at the time of production.
I mean, Tom Paris had basically Flash Gordon,
right? Yes,
which is just inching out of the copyright window and into public domain. Oh, very good.
At least they rebranded it.
We're doing Stormy Weather from Discovery Season 4, which I think... Ooh, is this the latest episode that we've done?
I think
Chief, can you check that?
So the latest episode that we did was Lower Decks 402, I Have No Bones Yet I Must Flee, from September 2023.
I'm not quite sure how the Discovery and Strange New Worlds, how those two storylines merge, align, and how parallel they are.
Okay. This is your first encounter with the latter seasons of Discovery,
it is, yes.
Right? Yeah, okay.
I noticed that Pike is no longer captain.
Right.
But now Burnham is.
Yeah, very good.
The Klingon seems to be replaced by a random guy called Brooke, who...
Which Klingon is replaced?
Or is...
Oh, I see. Yes. You mean Ash Tyler?
Ah, that's the one, yes.
Who was the sort of human emanation of the Klingon Volk.
Right, that's the one.
Okay. No, very good. Like, it must be weird whiplash going from vague memories of Season 2.
It is a bit, yes.
To... What year do you think this takes place in?
Well, I know that it's like Star Trek in the 31st century.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Well, let's look at what the episode is first, and any questions you have, I will be totally delighted to answer.
There probably will be a few.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, we've got some exciting stuff ahead of us. And for the listeners at home, I think this counts for you as well. If you haven't seen the latter seasons of Discovery before, you're in for a treat.
That definitely applies to me because I definitely haven't seen past the second episode of Season 3. I'm just notoriously bad at watching TV. So this has been fun to kind of like jump ahead a little bit and see kind of where it goes.
There will be, of course, there may, of course, be spoilers for earlier on in the season because this is,
very late state Star Trek, of course.
Yeah, it's very serialized. Now, of course, it is earlier on in the season, but the seasons of Discovery are not as short as those of Next Generation and Voyager were. So let's see. Stormy Weather first aired on December 23rd, 2021. Ooh, I think we've done a later Prodigy or maybe a later Lower Decks. Written by Ann Cofell Saunders and Brandon Schultz. Ann Cofell Saunders is a writer of some notes. She started her career with 24, also wrote a bunch of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, nice.
She's really excellent. And directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, we do love to see him coming along.
I hope his back is doing well.
Yeah, he manages okay.
Spike it in, man.
Yeah. Let me see. Oh, and it was recommended by Tonks.
What did they have to say?
Friend of the show, Tonks, they say, I consider Stormy Weather to be peak Trek. Whoa.
Okay.
Hell
High
yeah.
prize.
It's one of many Void episodes of the franchise and uses that basis to tell an engaging story that demonstrates the best of Trek. From the cohesion and enthusiasm of the crew, the excellent leadership, the exploration of self and identity, to the dealing with new experiences and old wounds. All of this create a package that also homages some memorable moments in the franchise without drawing attention to them.
Oh.
Whoa. This is a very concise
Oh,
recommendation
yes, very
as
much
well.
so.
The episode puts compassion, intelligence, and understanding forefront, while also being an almost silent celebration of the tried and true trick.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that is really, really great. Thanks, Tonks.
So, let's see. Warp cores.
Okay, so our warp core dump is about some really important, like, metatextual comments that we need to make, that we all
Yeah.
understand that they've been said, usually quite critical sometimes of the politics of older episodes.
Right, yes.
And you just have to, okay, that is how it is, and we've said that.
Yes, I don't...
Do you have any?
No, just some regular old nitpicking, but nothing in violation of... nothing leaning towards warp core breaches.
All right.
There's maybe hull breaches, but not warp core breaches.
Yeah, that's not really a thing that we often encounter in the modern era of Star Trek,
No.
right?
Well, I mean, it's been fairly prominently done in Generations, of course, and
What has?
the whole breach thing.
Oh, for flip's sake.
What do you thought I was talking about?
No, I thought you were. I thought you were speaking metaphorically.
Oh, no, I was talking literally.
Literally. Okay. No, look, there have been a few of those. Yeah, unfortunately.
But yes, so let's
Go to
hit
warp.
hit it on.
Let's hit it. Hit it on. Phew. And we start off with a really detailed previously on, where we learn a whole bunch.
It's quite a lot of it.
Star Trek Discovery.
The DMA's gone from the Venari sector. It disappeared.
The only logical explanation is someone created it.
I want to create a working model of the DMA controller. That's how it works.
Okay. Questions at this point.
Right. Well, the DMA is probably not a distance measuring apparatus, so it's
That's correct.
got doing something. It is created by something. They have a controller or access to it, or they don't have it anymore. They're not entirely sure. It doesn't give them any real power over it because it's clearly running away from them.
Running away from them. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, or it's on a course, and it's apparently quite tricky to keep up with. There's a new Trill on board.
Yes.
We've got Mr. Brooks here, whom I have no idea what his function is on the ship. He kind of walks around like he's a science officer, but he's not on the bridge, and he's not quite a doctor either.
Mm-hmm. And he's not in the same uniform as anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. So he's probably not even an NCO, unlike the Trill, who is, I'm going to be very uncharacteristically, the Discovery's Guinan.
Okay. Actually, yeah. Whoa, that really works.
It's, it's oversimplifying things, obviously, but,
I dig
just
it.
pulling some parallels here. In more ways than one, actually. Just more than the fact than just he's the barkeeper.
He does tend to hang out at the
I
bar.
mean, it is also a bit, of course, barkeepers tend to have a certain personality when it comes to their patrons. Patrons, yes.
Yeah, I love how that word is sort of contaminated.
Right,
like,
yes.
They're lemon-stealing hordes, I
Yes,
think is
they
the
are.
appropriate term.
And yes, so he's not the same guy who stole the Elogi orb. That's a different. So for a brief moment, I thought that was Brooke, but he's not.
Book. Cleveland Booker goes by
Book.
Book.
Today would have been my dad's birthday.
Played by David Ajala.
Mm-hmm.
And his role on the ship is boyfriend.
Right.
He's the captain's boyfriend.
Okay.
To a great degree. So when she arrived in the 31st century, he was someone that she bonded with,
Right.
got some help from. They traveled together for a long time before she was reunited with Discovery, which arrived later. And so, like, she's still trying to navigate, and so is he, their relationship. As
Okay.
now she's the captain of the Discovery. He has his own ship,
Oh, okay.
which is conveniently shuttle bay sized.
Oh, right. So with all the scenes where he's like walking around and doing things, he's probably on board his own ship.
A lot of
It's
them,
quite
yeah.
quite spacious then, even for a shuttlecraft.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's gorgeous as well. We alas don't get to see it in action in this episode, but something to look forward to.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
The Trill that you encountered was Gray Tal,
Yes.
Go. You don't want to be late for your first bridge assignment.
who was recently transferred to a new body after having been dead for a while.
oh dear.
Yeah.
So the symbiote got revived and then put in a new Trill.
Yes, in his partner, Adira,
All right.
who uses they, them pronouns,
All right.
but they're human.
Well, it's not like an actual assignment. I'm just filling in.
The Trill.
No, the new host
Yeah.
is a human. And apparently that's something that's possible.
So they just got the. I mean, we know that Trills can like at least temporarily survive in humans, but just to fit with the image, they got the tattoos.
No, I think that might be a little bit culturally appropriative.
Okay. Well,
If you went for, spot face.
I mean, that's why I thought that's why I recognized it. I mean, there was some allusions to the symbiote, but most of it was just like the spots on the thing made me think that they were Trill.
Oh, wait, no. Gray is a Trill.
Oh, right. Yes.
And used to be the host of a symbiont, but is no longer because now they have a synthetic body.
I'm so confused.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I'm actually going to explain it all.
All right, go on.
We encountered Adira in season 3 of Discovery, and they're a non-binary, young, brilliant scientist in this world. They've since joined Discovery. Now, Adira's boyfriend was Gray Tal, who's a Trill, and he unfortunately died.
Yes.
And to save his symbiont, Adira offered her own body as a host.
Right.
And so Adira, they are now the hosts to their deceased boyfriend's
symbiont. Okay.
However, recently, Gray is not dead anymore through various like weird sort of psycho timey-wimey.
Right.
And a new body has been constructed for Gray. He doesn't have a symbiont. It's not even known whether it's possible because he's sort of an android body.
So the chess-playing barkeep is Gray.
Yes,
who's
correct.
The android. Okay, and which one of them has the symbiont?
That's Adira, and they're on their first bridge assignment.
Right, the
short-haired,
right, the newest,
young officer.
excited person. Right. Okay, now I've got them straight.
Okay,
great. Yeah, sorry. That was
no. Like these are a bunch of new characters, and the rest are mostly familiar to those of us who love Discovery. Joanna Woshikun, Kayla Detmer, Mr. Saru.
So, yes, Michael goes and does a bit of culture-appropriate family album scrapbooking.
Oh, that is a really good question. Because we saw in the previously on that she saw a Lologi orb from another species, which is a sort of family tree with pictures. And inspired by that, she's been making her own family tree with
pictures, yes.
With an interesting variation, because there are multiple photos of the same person.
Oh, okay.
There's baby Spock and there's bearded Spock.
Oh, so there is, yes. But how's that? Is that necessarily? I kind of got the impression that was like how the tree goes and how things evolve into other things and how they come from.
I think that's
right.
right.
I mean, that's kind of the impression that I got from it.
That is sort of.
She's got her own picture in it as well, I think. With
Giorgio.
Right, yeah.
Actually, there's 2 Giorgios as well.
Right.
Those are not different.
That's evil.
Times, but different universes.
Evil universe, Giorgio, and yes.
And the rest of her crew and family. And she's interrupted by her orb. She's visited by Book. Now,
is that with or without an E at the end?
Without.
Okay.
And I know that because there's, at some point in season 5, which is really, really wonderful, they visit a library. And the librarian goes, "Is it true that your name is Book?" And he goes, "Yeah." "How fun for a book to visit me in the library."
Wow.
No, it's lovely.
What is your duodecimal
denounce? Baby. And they're having a discussion, and they're discussing, like, one of the topics is Felix, who is the inmate that we saw in the previously on, who decided to remain on the asteroid where he perished.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming it got eaten by the DMA.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't see the resolution of that discussion because that was a point of contention between them. A Book thought that Felix should be saved, and
even against his will.
Yeah, yeah. And Michael decided to honor his wishes and let him make his own decisions. And like Book says,
"Oh, we've talked about it enough. It was your call, not mine."
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like,
we've had that conversation. We know how we each feel about it. It's not something between us anymore. We have different perspectives, and I respect that you made your decision. And she's making a lot of time for what he's going through, because here's something that doesn't necessarily come. Oh, wait. Why do you think Book is so emotionally fraught?
Well, it seems he's got daddy issues.
Yeah.
Had this troubling relationship with his father. Let's leave it at that. Mainly because I have no idea what else occurred to them. But it was clearly that from the way he sees these hallucinations or visions or whatever you want to call it of his father, haven't been on very good terms.
Let me see if this jogs your memory.
Our planet's gone, and you're sitting on someone else's ship.
Yeah. So our planet's gone, so...
Yeah.
Probably didn't get eaten by the DMA.
Yes,
it did. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he's dealing with the fact that he's probably literally the last member of his species.
Right. He's not human.
He's cohesion.
Right.
They effectively look human, but some of cohesion, like him, have empathic abilities. They have glowing spots on their forehead.
Oh, I noticed that. I was wondering if that was something that occurred from due to something that he had been doing with the mycelium field, but it's something that he already had beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's that facility that actually allows him to interact with the mycelium as well and act as a second navigator.
Right. It was, again, like Stammet was clearly, well, as you said, time to learn how to delegate.
Okay. I am loving this. This is the manifestation of the Star Trek fantasy of, like, okay, you get to explain everything you know to someone who doesn't know it yet and wants to understand it. And, that's a wonderful responsibility and opportunity. I'm trying not to enjoy it too much. I just love Discovery. Like, for various reasons, Star Trek Discovery is my favorite Star Trek. And one of them is because I'd never been as excited for a series to come out as I was for Discovery.
Yeah, excellent.
And I was never as astonished at the wild creativity and excellence. Yeah.
Whoever created the DMA is someone the Federation's never encountered. We need to jump outside the Federation space. Talk to them.
The people who we don't know who created it.
Well, he's not a Federation citizen.
True.
And the Federation in the 32nd century was a pale shadow of what it was. Like, part of the mission that Discovery was on sort of reconnected the various disparate parts of the Federation. But as a courier, he's been all over the place. He knows lots of places where people gather, some of them in the Federation, some of them in what's known as the Emerald Chain. It's a sort of Orion expanded syndicate of Orions and Andorians, criminal network, but also a powerful polity. So yeah, he thinks that we're wasting time. We have this scientific platform of the Discovery that can go anywhere, and we're just hanging around here.
Well, they're examining the DMA, which is clearly dangerous. I don't know if it's like if it's moving in a single line or if its movement is erratic, but clearly they can't just like put a warning sign on it and it's like keep out or something, which they don't actually do themselves because like we're going in. Actually the DMA has left behind a subspace rift. And clearly we are going to investigate this subspace rift. We're going to poke our noses in where they don't belong in good old Starfleet tradition.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a look. There's going to be some interference.
Oh, yes. He cites some previous episodes of Star Trek.
Enterprise, Voyager.
In reviewing Starfleet records of similar encounters, it appears we can anticipate some interference. Enterprise noted heated plasma.
Got that.
Voyager charted ionized particle eddies.
Yeah.
Not too many of those.
I remember the word ionized particle eddies. I think it even came up in, was it cathex? No, it wasn't that one. Was it Elogium? Chief?
No, it was not cathexis, nor what is Elogium. It doesn't help that Voyager sure encounters a lot of very weird stellar phenomena while they're exploring, and a lot of them are kind of like nebula or clouds or whatever, because you could kind of make an argument that what they were referring to could be what was in cathexis or Elogium, but what it really was the episode Real Life, where like the sci-fi part is really the B plot to like the Doctor's heartbreaking like holographic family and the things that happen there. And oh boy, that is not an episode to watch if you're like not in a good like emotional state. You have to be like prepared for that one. That one's a little my heart. But yeah, Real Life, not cathexis or Elogium. That's generally what's agreed upon.
So yes, they can't warp, they can't mycelial jump.
Yeah,
at least they don't know the
risky.
second one, so they're like, yeah, let's stay away from that. But we're gonna like bump in. Crew spirits are high. They're able to get the bottle open.
And she asks the crew to assemble on the bridge via the computer Zora.
All crew report to stations.
When did that become sentient?
Actually, that's a really interesting question. Because chronologically, in terms of like airing date, we first saw the Discovery having a sentient ship in season 1. During the short treks between season 1 and season 2. We saw a future version of an abandoned Discovery which had Zora aboard introducing herself.
Okay. So she's been around for a bit. I don't recall any time,
So that was presumably vastly in the future. In season 2, we saw that Discovery became the host of the data gathered from a gigantic sphere. Actually, that's what we did before. We did an Obel for Karen. Remember when the
yes.
translator went crazy?
The enormous amount of knowledge that was dumped into Discovery School.
Yeah, that information itself was so vast and complex that it started to develop artificial consciousness, which became a huge plot point in season 2 because there was an AI, a rogue intelligence AI that wanted to seize that data for itself so it could itself become sentient. And to protect the universe from that, being unable to delete it, Discovery moved itself into the future out of the rogue AI's way.
Sure.
Right? It's a good solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the meantime, it's gradually sort of, occasionally the computer voices changed and become friendlier. And
Oh, okay. I mean, it seems like a bit of a danger to have a AI like that, holding your ship's computer.
Yep.
Controlling it. I mean, it doesn't sound like a thing that Starfleet would usually allow for a ship to continue on missions and do its thing with a computer that's not strictly under control of the
That's also a topic that comes up.
Okay,
You're
sure.
not surprised. I mean, you see a little bit of suspicion on Saru's side, who says,
Did you? We ran level 10 diagnostics twice.
They didn't find any irregularities. It's
level 10 now. They're up to level 10 on action. Back in Enterprise, they had to make do with level 3 diagnostics, but it's they've added levels of complexity. I must say about Saru, by the way, I love how he does that little walk with those impossibly long arms of him. It's rather than human walking with their arms swaying left and right, back and forth.
Yes.
He kind of does this kind of this sinuous flap
behind his butt.
Behind it,
side to side.
It's a very particular affected walk, which I really like. It makes him just a little bit more alien.
And he talked about how sort of naturally that came to him because he's walking on platform heels.
Yeah,
it's a special construction.
Presumably with arm extensions as well, because his arms are really long.
He has very long arms to begin with, slight extensions to the fingers.
Yeah.
And then he chose a particular pelvic posture for the Kelpian skeleton. And then after that, the arm flow kind of came naturally. But
cool.
It's hypnotic and graceful. And, I adore it.
It does give a bit of an aquatic creature-like appearance. It's it's a kind of fin movements on various aquatic creatures.
Yeah. We see that, at least in his community, they're a coastal community.
Yeah.
They were originally a pre-warp species where he gained asylum through unintended contact. But they eat kelp. Seems to be a big thing. Kelpians, kelp
farmers.
I don't know exactly, but yeah.
I'd be kind of insulted, if I was called hamburgerians or,
the sausagers.
Exactly. It's
the cheeseoids. And those are pretty accurate.
True, but still, I'm not sure I'd feel flattered by it.
All crew report to stations.
And then we get to see some of the bridge crew. There's a little montage that I really, really love. There's fun music. They go, oh yeah, does that mean the mission's on?
It's very very Starship Troopery, with the outfits and the lighting and the.
Oh yeah.
It's not quite on the level of the shower scene that they do in Starship Troopers, but it's kind of reminiscent of that.
Oh, that was so great. I mean, in as much that, Starship Troopers is a pretty biting satire of and lots of things that fascists love. But it did show that, okay, so racism, we don't do. We only do speciesism in this future.
Yeah.
And we do it hard. We do class distinctions, speciesism, but no sexism or racism.
Yes. I mean, sure.
Yep.
Start.
Just trade it. Yeah, we just have as a species, we have a bigotry sort of budget that we kind of manage to fill. They look good in the gym uniforms, don't they?
Yes, totally.
Okay, don't move any of the pieces till I get back.
That ruins my plan to cheat.
And Adira's nervous.
Yes. First bridge assignment. Oh.
Well, it's not really my assignment. I'm just filling in, and they say,
I kind of feel bad for Linus spending all day under a heating lamp.
Poor guy.
Who's that?
Linus is the Saurian that you may have seen. Huge eyes. He's sort of reptiloid.
There's a shot of at one point of this weird multi-eyed critter standing around. Very brief shot of that.
Oh, on the bridge, you mean?
I don't remember where it was. I just recall seeing that's an alien I've not seen before.
Yeah, that's Osnullus. We're not sure whether that's its name or its species. Don't think it's been named on screen. It's been around for a while. We don't know the gender in it, but huge head. So not really a pullover kind of species.
No, I can't say. It's more
not really a turtleneck kind of.
Here's it's not really even a hull breach, but like they really need to stop doing this whole. The view screen is actually just a big hole in the front of the ship, which we're keeping close with glass and force fields.
What?
Come on, the bridge. It looks great, but the view screen it doesn't seem to be a view screen. It seems to be like an actual window. Right?
Yeah, that's how it is in Star Trek now.
Okay, yeah.
It's
really not a good idea.
It's fine.
It's not. It has
shown advantages.
It is literally shown in this episode how much of a not good idea it is right at the end.
Yeah, it is. This is how ships are designed now, right?
Sure.
It was introduced as an innovation in the Kelvin universe, and it's been taken over here. And this is just how they.
And they also show why it's not a good idea.
But it's cool. It's dramatic.
I'm not denying.
It's awesome. And so I posit they should not stop, because then it will make for boring television.
They managed to do it when the view screen was actually still an actual view screen, and the bridge isn't sitting there in the most vulnerable area of the ship and instead tucked away somewhere deep and down where it belongs.
We're not relitigating this. I know that you and I haven't had this discussion necessarily on this podcast. We've had it many times, as have many other people. There is just a... Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's a. You know what? Yes, let's litigate it. Fuck it.
No.
Why is the bridge on top of the ship? There's the least protected. Well, maybe that's a cultural statement.
Sure.
We like to look out.
Yeah, but but they didn't in the past. I mean, like even in the
original
series,
television budgets.
Yes,
the television budgets and technology weren't able to provide that. And now, of course, it's ridiculous. The idea that you could look out a window and see a spaceship or a planet, that they're at a scale where that would be visible,
right,
is always ridiculous. But the idea that you'd have two spaceships facing off one another and you could see both of them at the same time instead of being a million kilometers apart. And so, since we're all doing that anyway, you might as well look out, and then you can look in.
I mean, you do get those hilarious scenes where some dead guy bumps up against the screen.
Oh, Galaxy Quest, I think.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure it's also been done not for laughs.
That's true.
Very true.
So I saw the Ready Room, which is sort of an after show hosted by Will Wheaton, where for this episode he interviewed Jonathan Frakes. Obviously, they're longtime friends, and they had a lot of fun, sort of comparing the experience of modern Star Trek and producing it in the case of Jonathan Frakes to sort of their era. And he talked about how let me see if I'm saying this right, the producing director of this season of Star Trek is Olatunde Osansumni. I think I'm saying that correct. Okay. Chief, can you correct me on that?
Very close there, Kaki. Really just one little miss up. It's Olatunde Osansumni. Very fantastic producer.
So he's a director. He's directed several excellent episodes, and is now the producing director, which involves coaching and training other directors in the sort of style language.
Yes.
And the one thing that Olatunde keeps saying is the bridge is one of the most amazing sets that's ever been built.
Yes.
Go nuts with it.
Yeah. Oh, do what you. Yeah.
Keep the camera moving, and so you get all these rotations and camera moves, and everyone gets the challenge. Show us the bridge in a way that has never been seen before. Every episode.
Nice, yes. Well, they do kind of do that. They do it several times in this episode. They do the rotating thing, kind of like now when they're going into the rift.
Yeah.
Gorgeous shot of Discovery, which to be fair, kind of looks a little bit like it was filmed in 4:3 and then stretched to widescreen.
Oh, she's got those long nacelles.
I know, right? And she's very flat.
Yeah.
It's almost no offset between the saucer and the engineering section.
No, she's got beautiful silhouettes, and she was really designed for widescreen.
She looks like she was meant to be pushed underneath a hotel room door to feed Douglas Adams because they wouldn't let him out of his hotel room until he finished writing the script.
Just fed him two-dimensional food.
Yes.
Good grief. Do you notice that she's had a little glow up since the last time you've seen her?
Oh, not specifically, no. But she did. I mean,
check out some of those gifs, because one thing that had a lot of people up in arms: in the future, warp cells can be detached from the body.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're sort of held in place by force fields.
Right.
There's all these extra running lights. Her deflector shield is triangular.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it's a concept that's been around in SF for quite a while now.
Yeah, right.
First time I ever encountered it was in Ian M. Banks' Culture novels, where there's a certain point they're just, the ships with the mines on them, they're just kind of held together by force fields and other things. It's just kind of like a big clump of stuff that flies around on its own. It's not really one big ship anymore. It's
No, when statistically it comes down to field technology is actually way more reliable in more circumstances than solid matter.
At the point that field technology fails, solid matter would have also long since given up. Yeah,
and solid stuff has all sorts of vulnerabilities that field tech
I think
doesn't
it's
have.
like literally lampshaded at one point. Like, oh, but don't worry. By the time the fields fail, we've got much bigger problems on our hands.
Exactly that. Exactly. And it's gorgeous. Those warp nacelles are beautiful. God, I'm trying to think whether I'm going to hedge in saying that it's my favorite starship, but I think it is my favorite.
What would be the competition?
Oh, I do like the Sovereign class Enterprise E. That has those smooth lines.
Okay. I mean,
how about you? Which starship would you date?
Which starship would I date? Oh,
so kissability, but also personality.
I mean, I've obviously been kind of partial to Voyager.
Oh, really? What do you like about Voyager?
Okay, basically what I like about Voyager is what I guess also like about the... what's her name again? The ship from Prodigy.
The Protostar.
Protostar, yes. They kind of like...
The sort of unibody...
Kind of, but like rounded shapes, which it's like going away from the saucer idea a little bit. Kind of like round on top, flat on the bottom, and... that kind of look is what I really like. So my toss-up would be between Voyager and the Protostar.
Oh, great choice. Oh, Chief, which spaceships do you want to I mean, it's basically what we're doing. Oh, no, marry, kill. We'll save that for the Patreon.
Okay.
Joyspec.com/links. We'll see if we remember. But yes, let's do that on the Patreon sometime. Anyway.
If we're talking about the Patreon, then this may be a good time for me to chime in and just mention that we do have a clip from this month's Patreon exclusive episode, and maybe we do play Marry Kill in this Patreon episode. I don't know. I haven't recorded it yet. By the time you're listening to it, I'll have recorded it yet. But when I'm saying this right now, we haven't done it yet, so who knows? Maybe we will play that game, and maybe that's what this clip is. Who knows? This is the magic of editing. I won't know for a while.
I recently saw on YouTube there was one of the DVD extras for Deep Space Nine was there, and it was about the glassware in Quarks.
Yeah.
And this prop mistress, or the archival mistress, she talked about all these things where, like, they've got these weird glasses that were candle holders originally that she turned upside down.
Right.
And then she sent an army of people across the country to various Walmarts to get all 300 that existed in the country.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
You gotta run on first, you gotta run
so
on second.
that's the graphic. That's the Okudagram that went.
Yeah. Oh man.
But then you need the light box to put it
exactly.
Put it on the wall.
Yeah. So one of my freshman teachers in college had the DS9 mug, the mug
yes, with the flared base.
Yes, and I mentioned that to her. I'm just not responding. I mentioned that to her, and she just kind of looked at me, just like, "Oh, I don't watch any Star Trek. I just like the mug." I'm just like, I know. I was so excited. I was like, "Oh boy, it gets like," and she's just like, "No, I just I can put it down on my dashboard of my car. It doesn't move." It's like.
Yeah, it's like
this
someone
is wasted on you.
Someone
like,
driving.
I know.
I will be removing this.
Yeah,
this is you're not worthy.
You're not worthy. It's like someone driving around in a DeLorean who's never seen Back to the Future.
Right.
It's like, oh no, I don't want.
It was kind of cool car.
Oh, Nana, smile.
Oh, here we go.
Oh yeah, no, that's right. They were already a thing.
The baseball
there
has
the
the
Starfleet
delta on it. Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice little touch.
I didn't notice that. Yeah.
Your foot up at the plate.
What?
Okay.
What? You're critiquing my style at a point, my swing at the moment like this? It's like, come on.
These couches, like Star Trek furniture, never looks comfortable.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's a bit like the casting couch, but.
Okay, here's the question: would JD Vance still be into the couch?
Oh my god!
Wow!
No.
And that was a clip from our Patreon exclusive episode. As always, if you would like to help support the show, it is joyoftrek.com/links to find our Patreon. It really does help us out. Just a few bucks a month, you get exclusive episodes like this, and it just helps us out with keeping the show going. It really does mean a lot to us. Anyway, back to the episode.
Back to this adventure. The DMA, which has recently vacated this area, has left behind a subspace rift that they want to investigate.
In order to get, they need clues for figuring out where it came from and where it's going and what the F it's doing.
I go into this crackling red crevice in space, hit by energy waves, and then suddenly...
A little bit of plasma barrier, and then nothing.
Nothing.
Oh, well, that's not right.
Isn't it supposed to be bumpy?
This is indeed unexpected.
And this total stillness, mirrored on the view screen by just nothing in view, and we get to see some excellent captaining.
We need answers. And with or without sensor data, we're going to get them. Is that understood?
She is very much indeed like, okay, let's brainstorm a little bit, and you tell me what are your ideas, what are your plans, suggested plans of attack.
Yep, because she's showing a style of leadership that I really admire and try to emulate, where your job as leader is to ultimately own the decisions. Doesn't mean that you have to necessarily be the one making them even. You just have to own them. Yeah. You have to foster an environment where everyone's creativity is stimulated and focused. Your job is primarily to ensure that everyone knows what they're supposed to be focusing on.
Yes.
And then ultimately make a decision. So she's calling for all this information that she needs in the right order, and winds up with the conclusion that there's just fucking nothing.
Yep. That's, I mean, like Tonks said, not back to various previous Star Trek episodes.
Oh, yes.
Void episodes. Again, like the one that I thought initially thought about, that it might have been the one with the alien from Star Trek Next Generation. You know, where they also find it's also a subspace rift, and then there's like this alien who keeps toying them with exits and everything. So that's why I initially thought that was going to be this episode.
Oh no, that's a very good one. The collapsing universe that the Beverly experiences.
Smaller, absolutely. So yes, they send out Wally to go and it's Eve actually, not Wally. Well, kind of cross between the two. It's Eve and Wally's love child that they send out. It's called Dot.
Yes, Dot is wonderful. It's apparently the model name of this kind of droid. They have, let me see, I think they have like Dot 4s and Dot 7s, and like now in the future they have new ones.
Unfortunately, it is not granted a very long life, as about a few 6 kilometers out or so, it starts disintegrating.
Yeah. And like something happens to its signal that makes it sound like it's
screaming, and you can see it on the screen. It's like it's like degrading, and it's suddenly deteriorating, and
sounds like it's screaming.
Michael.
Yeah, and I love how the captain like calls off and goes like, "Yeah, kill that transmission. We don't need to hear one of our crew members dying." It's it's all very emotional. For some reason, Book is being consulted.
Put me to work, whatever you need.
I guess he's like...
Oh, yes. So
external consultant.
It's because the window on his ship faces the other way from the bridge.
Oh.
And he has his own sensor suite. It's a 32nd century craft versus the Discovery, which has been refitted.
Right, I was going to say.
Discovery A, I should say.
Absolutely antique barrel.
I guess, I mean... If you were to find a ship from, let's say, the 1950s or something, would there be value in refitting it with modern technology? Let's say it's a military ship. No, why not?
Well, okay. For example, take any of the fast battle cruisers the fast battleships that they had, like the Missouri and New Jersey and the Wisconsin, I believe.
Right.
There might be more, but I'm not that first. They have been retrofitted. They first served in World War II, then they were refitted for Korea, then they were refitted for Vietnam, then they were refitted for the Gulf War. But nowadays they're all museum ships.
Right.
Whatever's left of them, it's just basically it's gone so far back into the obsolescent technology that it's absolutely no chance that there ever be a call out of the.
But what if one of them happens to have a teleportation system built? What if the USS Philadelphia showed back up?
Right.
You sort of wanted, I wouldn't mind having that in active service. referring to I think it's an urban myth or some kind of fictional story.
It's a movie. It's a Philadelphia experiment.
Right, exactly, where it had some experimental cloaking technology which actually became dimensional travel or time travel or some shit like that.
But okay, then you take that unit out and you put it in another ship. Study it, you copy it with like modern technology, and then you...
So the whole of the Discovery is built around this this spore drive, to the point like the design of its saucer section.
Right.
It is that way because the whole hull, they do excess energy cavitation by rotating the rings of the ship. So you'd have to design essentially a new ship. And the only design that's known to work is exactly this.
Okay, but we're 1,000 years further. I mean, presumably Discovery didn't have like all of its own design plans on board, and nowhere else in the entirety of Starfleet were these ship designs developed.
Oh, do you know me? Where's my button for the... So you have one ship that has this propulsion system that's completely unknown to them. It's out of the historical record. And one crew that knows how to operate it.
Yes.
So they're most comfortable on this ship that they're already on.
I get that.
And with the advancements in programmable matter technology, as we see, retrofitting it with all... like replacing computer interfaces and transporter systems is about as much work as building an entirely new ship.
Right.
And we know that this one works. We know that it's made from the right materials.
Except they clearly have put in new transporters systems, and I love that like transporter effect. I also love that Burnham is so lazy that she doesn't walk from her ready room back onto the bridge and just like teleport, emergency transport and goes zip.
Oh, it was so much fun when they get outfitted with those, they're called Tricom badges.
Right.
They're these ovals. The design is similar to a graphic created for Star Trek Generations, the first Next Generation film. This oval with the Starfleet Delta cut into it. Mm-hmm. So it's great to see that one coming back. So they have a holographic interface for a tricorder. Obviously, you can still tap them for communications. But they also have a sort of a home transport. You double tap it, and it goes to wherever it is you've set your home to. And for Burnham, apparently, that's the bridge.
Sure. Yeah, that seems to make more sense. Like, if anything, the captain wants to be able to get to the bridge quickly.
Like that.
It's like, captain to the bridge, beep, beep. Yes.
For me, it'd probably be the toilet. After I've made some, like, dietary mistakes that I really enjoyed.
Oh, dear.
Be right back.
Wow. Anyway, they have a cat on board, which is kind of cute cat. It doesn't get a lot of lines, but
Yes, that's Grudge, and that used to be.
That's a great name for a cat.
It's a really great name, and she's massive.
Maine Coon, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's a big girl. The book calls her a queen.
How many times have I told you?
She's a queen.
Well, I mean that's, strictly speaking, just a correct term for any female cat of breeding prowess.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, so a reproductively capable, so a womb-having cat is by definition a queen?
I think so, yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes, if they're not, if they haven't been neutralized, then that's what they call it. Yeah,
it's neutered, isn't it?
I think it's like
neutralization.
Yeah, it's like if you look, at least that's the word they use in the Dutch, because they don't call it. I mean, technically it's castration, I suppose, but it's okay. So you've got sterilization, which is tying the cords.
Okay.
Then you've got castration, which is removing either the testicles or the ovaries.
So an actual yeah.
Yeah, because like over here, at least when you go get your cat fix, when it's a female cat, you generally use sterilization. When in fact the procedure would technically be called castration, but then we use that for male cats usually. So, if you look in her little vet passport, which has all the vaccination data and stuff, there's like a checkbox which is neutralized. So that's apparently the term they use for that around here.
Okay, it's weirdly both more menacing and friendlier than neutered.
Yes, I guess so. Yes,
they've just been neutralized. I'm going to neutralize my cat. Cocking the gender reassignment shotgun, setting it to 0.
Excellent. Yeah, you're loaded with a null shell.
And so, as excited as he was to go and help Book, which is a running theme in this episode, people want to do things to help, and they get really, really anxious and stuck in themselves if they're unable to help. So he wanted to fly out and take a look around. the fate of the dot showed that flying around is not a great idea in this space. And so then he leaves his ship and he goes to find Paul and just try and help. And like, he says,
"Put me to work, whatever you need."
Great. Help ramp down any non-essential functions and redirect power, since I don't actually even have a chair.
We are in so much trouble because only now do we get the opening credits in the Chiefs. We are already like quite a long. Oh, that's true. But yes, I do like Stamets. He's like a little bit panicky, a little bit like a little bit out of his depth here.
Yeah, but he's come a long, long way since the person that we saw in the first season. Like he even sort of catches himself as he's walking away.
Oh, and thank you. I'm glad you're here.
This is actually really helpful. You know, this is also good leadership.
Yeah. So, in a second test, they sent some sort of pulse out. I don't remember what it was.
A photonic flare.
That's the one.
Great bit of brainstorming.
A photonic flare. Photons is light, so it's basically just a flare.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You don't have to be weird about it. They just... Like, somebody just picked a word in the 60s, and now we're stuck with it.
For the discovery that whatever the barrier is, it's getting closer because they send it out along the same path and the same speed as the dot, and a couple of seconds sooner the thing disappears.
Yes.
So we've got a few minutes. We've got approximately 33 minutes, and then the silence. No, wait, wrong episode.
They're extending the shield outwards. That's what they needed the extra power for.
Mm-hmm.
We get an interaction between Gray and Zora, which I suggest we sort of put a pin in and come back in in a bit.
Yeah, there's a little techno-babble. Like,
Commander Bryce, what do you hear?
It's what I'm not hearing, Captain. Space is loud. Stars, nebulae, planets, they all normally give off electromagnetic frequencies. But this...
pressing all of it into the human audible range, and it's still one big fat zero.
Yeah. Now, you could do some nitpicking and say that the two attempts that they make to translate sensor data into audio are both senseless.
Yes.
Because in the first case, okay...
Convert it to audio, put it on speaker. All frequencies.
Aye, Captain.
Yeah, he could have just said there's nothing. It's completely flat.
That's what he literally just said a moment before.
But okay. And the next time...
Basically, we hit the particles with electromagnetic energy at that frequency, translate the response into an audible ping.
Or... we could just look at the numbers on the screen, which is the same thing. But Saru pulls an excellent, first officer move because he says...
Currently have no ability to complete our scientific mission, and whatever is out there is getting closer faster than we expected.
Keeping his voice low,
yes.
The implication is clear, and the captain decides that he's right.
Stamets, for some reason, is tasked with rerouting power systems because we still haven't seen any actual engineering yet on Discovery.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I have such a treat in store for you when we get there. You have never seen the majesty that is Tig Notaro as Jet Reno, and also an engineer who comes aboard. Oh, actually, no, you have seen her.
Oh,
she shows up in the second season. Yeah, we've seen her.
Is it? Okay. And wasn't that Enterprise? Isn't Strange New Worlds that you're thinking about?
No, there was the second season of Discovery, which also had Captain Pike.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're right. Famously, we never see the main engineering of Discovery.
Yes.
We only see the Spore Lab.
Exactly. That's what I was referring to.
Never see the Warp Core.
Exactly. But yet, the Spore
Lab. You never see the chief engineer either.
That's what I was referring to.
Whoever that is goes completely unmentioned, is never at any of the staff briefings. It's like season 1 of Next Generation, right? When they had a different chief engineer every week.
Oh, pretty much, yes. Until they settled on Geordi.
Singh, McDougal.
Yeah.
And the captain makes the decision.
Abort the mission.
Which is met with shock on the bridge. Because they're all trying to get a handle on this DMA
Science
situation.
their way out of it. And she's just like, nope, back out. This is dangerous. We don't know what we can do. I want the ship safe. Which is reasonable. Yep. I'd say get out of the rift. Stop, evaluate, analyze the data. Maybe decide if you want to go back again.
Yeah, because currently we don't have anything. Staying here is only danger, no opportunity.
Exactly. There's nothing to look at. There's nothing to analyze, at least not that we have right now. So let's...
No one's depending us to be here.
Back out. Which turns out to be harder than it is because apparently because of lack of any information, there's not even inertial navigation to go by. And
yeah, which may, you can't. I learned about the sort of inertial, what are they called? Sort of gradients of space from you.
Right.
When I vehemently argued at one point, and I think the chief faded us out. But I learned about that the idea of going in a straight line through space is not how you sort of intuit it, because like the straightest, smoothest path is following whatever gravitational fields affect you.
Yeah.
And then if you do that, then when you're floating within your spaceship, you're floating completely still.
Yes.
And as long as you're not looking directly outside, you feel like you're completely still. And you could be doing like 3 orbits of Jupiter, and you could be swinging out.
You cannot tell. There's no...
because none of it feels like swinging or
although maybe
your
inertial compass might still... But those,
also being affected by all those gravity fields.
Right. But
so if there were gravity fields...
But they have their own effect, inertial compasses. They spin around very fast. So
to compensate for that.
And they want to start. No, well, they want to... it's like a gyroscope.
Yeah.
How it wants to maintain its position. So, but yeah, I don't know. Let's keep going, because we are going to run long on this episode.
Especially because there's so much talking as well. And Discovery is long. We're diving into a new season. This is completely expected. Warp isn't a possibility.
No.
So time to use the spore drive. And Stamets goes,
The DMA caused this. Any data we get will be valuable.
Someone else might miss something.
I'll make the jump. You focus on the data.
Yeah, because apparently he knows how it works. He knows how to finger the jelly. Stamets like, well, all right then, sure.
I suppose now is as good a time as any to learn to delegate.
Bless.
Because he was like, I can do the jump, but I don't trust anybody to collect the right amount of data. So, yeah. All right, well, we'll book to the jump. We got some very cool effects. Like, we got a little spinny thing of the camera as it backs out of its shot on Michael. The ship starts like spinning left and right at the same time, which is quite impressive.
Yeah, and it's always... The effect of Black Alert and doing the mycelial jump has always just been so cool. Because it's like multiple versions of the ship intersecting with one another, rotating at different speeds, and then recombining. Like, it makes no sense to us because, it's super advanced space physics.
But yes, the jelly withdraws consent to be fingered and shocks Brooke.
Yeah, he gets shocked good. And the conclusion is...
we can't jump, Captain.
Yep.
Yes. The mycelial network is a little bit foobarred. It's like offset. It's like a little bit angry mycelial network. I'm not quite sure. He shows a graphic of it later, and I'm not sure what we're supposed to convey from that.
I had the same feeling.
It's like, this is what it normally looks like, and this is what it looks like now.
This is the mycelial network on drugs.
And absolutely no conclusions are drawn from that.
They're the same picture. I mean,
no,
it looks a little bit
more angry, spiky in the second version, but there's like, nothing, no explanations, no nothing. It's just like, apparently we are supposed to, okay. I mean, Stamets says that, I trust him.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And we know that, let me see if I know the name, Stella Viatori. Oh, no, I don't know the rest of the name. The fungal species.
Oh, yes.
They're partly subspace.
Mm-hmm.
That's just this species has figured out.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Evolved, and its network is half real space, half subspace.
And they're kind of like miffed at Discovery, like...
Prototaxity Stella Viatori. Sorry, it suddenly came to me. What were you saying?
They were rather. There's a whole episode about them being rather miffed at the way Discovery appropriates its way through their network, and like, excuse us. Like,
well, there's another species that lives in the mycelial network, the Jasep.
Yeah. Book is suffering some after effects from being shocked.
Of Fubar, he sees a handsome, white bearded gentleman who addresses him as
Durex. Been a long time.
He's wearing a fantastic red outfit.
He's like, no, you're dead.
Yeah.
You're dead.
Apparently his dad, they have some issues. This sounds very much like an old argument which is being rehashed between the two.
Okay, let's stick with these guys and work through what Book's experiencing. Because he's still reeling from the loss of his planet, which he witnessed, his family, apparently not reeling so much from the death of his father.
Probably one of the people that he is least about in mourning, considering the fact that he wouldn't even put his face on the family tree, as he earlier says.
And who's dead? He's been dead for a while, because he also points out that his son didn't show up for his funeral.
Oh, yes.
And so, like, they've had differences between them, and as you go through them, it starts off with his father is essentially representing his own guilt and like self-recrimination, right? Accusing him of just sitting here on his hands doing nothing because he wants so badly to go out there. As the sort of impulsive side is Aid complaining that it isn't being satisfied. But then we also get into the sort of the strain between them. Now, we need to see more of Discovery in order to get this, but one of Book's like main focuses early on was providing sanctuary for this endangered species from his planet that are traded as weapons and exploited, that he feels very sensitive toward, very simpatico toward. So the construction is like his father hunted those animals.
Oh, yes.
I was training him to hunt them as well.
And he didn't want to do that, yes.
Right. And the resolution in the end is that his father explains, like, I was forced into this through circumstances. We were under the control of basically the space mafia, who demanded that I hunt them for them. And that's why I did it. And that sort of resolves his daddy issues.
Well, it doesn't quite resolve them because they keep coming back a few times. Apparently his neural pathways are 400 times more stimulated, resulting in these audio-visual hallucinations. There's quite a cool shot of him a little bit later when he's like standing next to the empty bed and he's like quite vehemently arguing, and the other two people in sickbay are just kind of like standing there looking at each other a little bit like, oh, okay, something is not quite right here.
Yeah. Not the first time that they've seen someone do something like that. Shit gets weird on Disco.
Gray, meanwhile, has been playing chess with Zora. I mean, it's not chess, but it's some sort of mind-focusing game.
Oh, I saw something about like the production team had actually worked out like what sort of game it was and how do you play it, and we learned nothing about it.
No.
But Gray talks about this as this is something that's used in the training that he experiences as he's training to be a guardian.
Yeah, it was mentioned, but not explained.
They're people that we've seen before. They have a special role on Trill that they take care of the symbionts.
Oh, right, yes.
And they also guide joined Trill in their transition to their new life and train them. And part of that was an exercise that this game, like apparently it involved poetry as much as strategy, and like it's a word and concept game. It's a way to organize information. It made me think of, I have acquaintances who are like very into tarot.
Right, yes.
Which, is an ancestral practice, but sometimes presented as divination and seeing the future and like haruspexy and various other things that can be fairly called quackery. There is a quackery end of the spectrum.
Yes.
But they described it as the thing about tarot, whether you believe in the spiritual side or not, it's about accessing information through a path outside your consciousness.
Right.
And whether you believe that, therefore, that information exists outside of your mind, or whether you're just finding another path toward it.
Yes, just basically focusing your thoughts about a certain matter through certain pathways and to be able to perhaps look at them in a different light than you would normally do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's sort of
kind of like the I Ching does that as well, basically.
Oh, yeah. Lots of myths do that, but we have all these philosophical practices. It kind of reminds me of, do you know the McDonald's effect?
The McDonald's effect?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, it's this. Let's say we're with a group of friends and we've just come out of like a movie theater or whatever.
Yeah.
Anybody hungry? Yeah, I'd love to get something to eat. Where should we go? Oh, I don't know. Anywhere's fine.
Right.
I've no idea.
No, I don't want to go there, but I don't want to go there. And
I don't want to go there.
It turns out the only place I want to go is McDonald's.
No, it's the other way around.
Oh, right.
If you want to get this group to actually come up with a good idea, then you go, okay, let's go to McDonald's. Then everybody goes, no, there's this much better Korean place. It's just around the corner. And suddenly they've got ideas.
That would so not work in our friend group.
No.
It's about half of them would go like, yeah, that sounds like a great plan.
Yeah, But like a solution can appear if you're presenting with one that you don't want, like
right,
triggering your mind in different ways. And so that's what Gray's doing, because Gray doesn't have a job. He's hanging out here while he's acclimating to his new body, which he has some experience in.
I mean, as a Trill, yes.
And as a trans boy.
Oh, of course, yes.
So he transitioned first, as he mentioned, like he chose his name Gray.
I chose my name too. Not because of the meaning, I just liked it.
I like it as well.
After he praises Zora for a cool name, by the way.
Ah, yes.
So he's transitioned as gender. He's transitioned into joined life, and now into post life with a synthetic body.
Yeah, and okay, basically the game helps because Zora goes like,
now that my systems aren't overwhelmed anymore, I can detect something unusual on the exterior hull of Deck 17.
Yeah, because her problem was that she was overwhelmed and she didn't really have the ability to explain that.
Yes,
because it was new for her, and thankfully. I mean, calling him the ship's Guinan is kind of fair. Like, he's very experienced in exactly the sort of problems that she's describing.
Captain, there may be an issue with the aft corridor on Deck 17.
What kind of issue?
Internal sensors are engaging.
There's this weird light effects in the ceiling. The doctor is apparently the closest person who gets sent to investigate what is going on there.
Despite
sees a corridor full of people who have apparently neglected to mention that there's like a whole breach in progress and that there's weird stuff going on there.
Maybe the communications were interrupted in the hallway. It's a real bad scene. She tries to instruct people to leave. Lieutenant Cortez stays on the panel that's about to rupture too long, and he's running toward her. Yeah. But an emergency force field has to be erected before he can either beam out or make it to safety.
Beam out apparently also doesn't work anymore once the emergency force field is in place.
He doesn't get a chance to hit his...
Nor can the person be tractor beamed. There are absolutely nothing in the history of Star Trek has ever allowed someone to survive outside the ship for more than a few seconds.
Very sad.
It's
very sad.
It's so, nothing can be done. Like,
yes, I absolutely agree. But, if we're expecting them to have the foresight to have just a little sensor on your body that when it's exposed to vacuum or
rapidly dropping
rapidly dropping temperatures, rapidly spiking temperatures or whatever, that it immediately triggers an emergency beam out from the onboard transportation system,
right? Just something like that,
into sickbay, and then we'll figure it out, right? It's not going to happen very often.
No,
but if we expect that from this universe, where they don't even bring fucking hats to a rain planet, they don't bring rope. Coat, none of it. I think they have a long way to go before we get to emergency beam out.
Fair.
Gloves! Cade made me so angry in The Next Generation to see that again.
Yes. Okay, so...
Commander Owashikun, how much longer will shields hold?
Approximately 21 minutes until hull damage is critical.
All these ideas to sort of brainstorm haven't yielded a solution, but Gray pieces together from what Zora told him.
I asked her to play the game with me, and it helped. She registered the problem on Deck 17 before it breached the hull.
Yes.
Which is a little bit unclear how it's presented. Like, I remember the first time that I watched this episode feeling a little bit, lost. Like, why are we coddling a computer which is a non-human intelligence?
Right, yes.
As if it has, these human experiences. But apparently the statement is, I think this episode makes, is that they're not human. They're fairly broadly applicable, and we can understand them in one another. Because Gray realizes, okay, what you're experiencing, you're so anxious that you're defocusing, you're experiencing everything instead of your mind doing what it ought to do, filtering out things that aren't relevant to what you want to achieve, so that you get more attention to the things that you do want.
Ignore all the low-level syslogs unless you're actually specifically looking for something. And
So this episode came out just before my own experience with burnout. But now watching it again with the benefit of that experience, I can also see, like, in times of anxiety, you actually go looking for things to distract you.
Oh, absolutely. Because at least, then at least you have done something. And I was productive. I didn't get to do the thing that I was actually supposed to be doing, but I was productive. And that's you busy yourself with little tasks and little things, which, I recognize that feeling very well.
Well, like, procrastination is often portrayed as if it's a form of laziness, but it isn't. When most of the time when you procrastinate, you do it by doing something else.
Yes.
My kitchen was never as clean as it was when I was severely overstressed at work.
Exactly, yeah. Very recognizable.
Because, the hypothesis I read was, like, your hindbrain, which is trained on the savannah, right? It's got a 24-hour sort of future window during which it's trying to optimize.
Yeah, food, shelter, those things.
And when you have an extremely negative association with a particular task that you have to do, even though you know you have to do it and it would be better for you if you do it earlier, your hindbrain knows, oh, you're scared of it. You don't want to do that. So I'm going to route you around that and make it easier for you to think of all these other things that are much more useful. Let's do those instead.
And it doesn't always work like that because, at a low level, you're still aware of it, but yeah.
Yep. I sort of recognized that in Zora, and what Gray's doing by playing a game with her. Okay, let's
see
feel what it's like to focus, and then she's able to sense things on the outside. And now the challenge is, okay, how do we put this to our advantage? Because if we can make sure that there's some kind of external input, Zora can find it for us. So how do we get a signal out into real space where we want to go?
Yeah,
so that Zora can orient us. Brainstorm, and in the meantime, join me in the ready room.
Yes. We cut back to Brooke, who is still having an argument with his dad.
You should take off that amulet. A coward has no place wearing the Ikugen.
Yep. More sort of manifestations of his guilt, self-recrimination. because that's the function of his father here. He's saying all the things that the book feels about himself. Like this powerlessness is manifesting in the rest of the crew as well. Joanne Owoshikun.
Oh, yeah.
Containment fields are weakening in engineering. Permission to take a team to reinforce the fields with programmable matter blastors.
Request denied.
And she sort of yells at him until he sort of slaps her down.
Yeah.
It's not a debate, Commander.
Yeah.
We need you at your station, and that is an order.
Yeah.
There you go. That's such a different Sir Who than we got from the first couple of episodes. He has grown and matured a lot in that regard.
Yep. He's gone through a physiological and mental change as well.
That too, yeah.
And this sort of very public display of discipline, he follows it up immediately with a statement to the rest of the bridge, because they've all seen this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And he says very understandingly,
The uncertainty we are facing is deeply unsettling.
Right?
Yeah.
Making sure that nobody sees his disciplining of Owoshikun as like a criticism of her capability. Right? He's
I know you're all under a large amount of stress here right now, but we have to keep being the best we can in order to deal with that.
I have confidence in all of us. And
the ship, meanwhile, has a little crisis of faith as well. Zora is like talking to Michael.
I cannot help, Captain. I am afraid of whatever is out there. I failed you. It is my fault that Ensign Cortez was lost.
Yeah. And Michael has to, like, in order to save the ship, she has to counsel one of its crew members.
Right.
A very important officer. Yeah.
And what you're feeling is normal in a dangerous situation. Overwhelm and guilt when someone is harmed. But you are not to blame.
And I can explain this. She gives her anecdotally tells her own experience with how her parents got killed. And the computer calls back, yeah, but you were a child and I'm a supercomputer. But it doesn't really, that doesn't invalidate your feelings.
Exactly. Because feelings do like have an internal sense to them. And trying to get them to conform to your objective assessment of situations is a mistake. You have to focus on what those feelings are doing in your mind, because it's a normal function. I thought it was so fascinating, and also like so telling that the captain's taking this time and in the crisis to focus on this particular task.
Yeah,
bringing Gray along for it because he's got expertise that she needs.
Okay, this is where it gets a little bit confusing for me, because Book is in sickbay and they're going through his brain in the jump and they're trying to use the extra stimulation that he is getting.
These particles in Book's brain are the DMA clue we've been looking for. And they're only found in one place, the galactic barrier.
What is the galactic barrier?
It's an energy field on the outside or inside of our galaxy. That's
the Milky Way.
Huh?
The Milky Way.
Yes.
All right. And the Delta Quadrant is outside the Milky Way?
No, it's in the galaxy Milky Way consists of 4 quadrants, A, B, C, D, in the Greek letters. So alpha, beta, gamma, delta.
Mm-hmm.
And surrounding the exterior edge or the core is the galactic barrier. I think they're two different things, but they're both called the galactic barrier.
Okay.
Beyond which exploration is impossible, unwise. I think the original Enterprise did cross one of them once.
Okay.
Not advisable and not...
Apparently not so. Okay.
So in
unlike
this
time
case,
travel.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. Just fly around the planet a bunch.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Superman. I don't know. You just get in a cool car. Which one are we doing today?
Yeah, take your pick.
Temporal Mechanics 101. But so he got zapped while trying to do this mycelial network by energy from this subspace environment, which left some particles lodged in his brain that are the evidence they were looking for. Those particles were left behind by the DMA, and happily they're degrading. So
they'll be gone in an hour. Yeah.
But those particles have only been detected in the galactic barrier, suggesting that the DMA had crossed it.
That's come from outside the galaxy.
Imagine if the galactic barrier had glitter in it.
Yes.
Right? And you found glitter, let's say cat-shaped glittery footprints on your on your shirt.
Yes.
You'd be able to sort of piece together where that came from.
Yes. I mean, I do remember a Halloween party we had in our house in the early 2000s, and up until the day we moved out of that place, we kept finding glitter.
Yeah. And it was glitter makeup, right?
Yes.
I remember the person in question.
Yes.
And I think she just like glued glitter to his face. It was
just like,
lovely.
just the usual, just a little glitter sprinkle. And that glitter kept showing up years later.
Huh.
I mean, okay, admittedly, we weren't too good about cleaning the place, but still.
So you clearly weren't under a lot of work stress at the time.
There is a reason why glitter in the craft world is sometimes referred to as craft herpes, because it just never really goes away.
Okay, so they found a way out, as she says, as she zaps back onto the bridge.
Yep.
Stamets will send the signature, and we're all going to do it. We can't use the shield, so we're going to do it bareback.
Yikes. Okay, yeah. But now that they found the solution, there's a problem. The solution is not fast enough. No. Whatever's closing in on them will overtake them before they reach the exit that they've now been able to find. And once they reach it, then the ship is going to be heated by plasma.
Barriers, beyond safe levels, too much friction.
But there's an idea.
Yes.
What if everyone goes into the pattern buffer?
Okay, how do you feel about that, Kay?
I feel fine about it. I'm not quite entirely sure what the purpose is. They're going to put everybody in the transport buffer so they're not on board of the ship, so that if the ship gets destroyed by the plasma, then the people...
It's sort of like a life support system.
Right.
They don't have like the EVA suits are not able to withstand that heat. The shuttles apparently also aren't. Well, they're not rated for it. She gets lucky, of course. She's a highly paid actress, and you don't want to kill her off too early in a season that is built entirely around her captaincy. For sure.
True.
But yeah,
they put everybody in the pattern buffer. Fine,
Apparently, it's big enough for everyone.
They have much better transporters now. They've got which are pretty much instantaneous. We're 1,000 years down the line. I'm perfectly fine with everybody being put in the transport buffer.
And it's a more commonplace technology as well. They use transport buffers on their person as part of their equipment. A little bracelet that turns into a phaser.
Oh, Cocky, I love when you set me up for something I want to talk about, because this is not the first time that we've seen this kind of thing of using the transport buffer basically to use an inventory type thing, because in the 2000 game Star Trek Voyager Elite Force by Raven Software, that was how they solved the inventory thing, where you have a video game character that can just hold way more weapons than you should be able to. They were just it's just like being transported from your belt in a little buffer thing to your hand when you need it. And it was just a really fun thing. Elite Force is a really fun game too. It's really cool because there's actually, you can go and explore the ship, and you can set the ship to self-destruct, and if you do that, the entire crew will kill you, so then you can kill the entire crew. It's very fun. But I just love that they basically took that idea from the game and hey, what if we did it in the show too? That's just neat. I don't know if it was a nod or anything, but given how obsessive Star Trek fans are and fans becoming creatives, I kind of wonder if someone there was hey, we could do something with this.
All personnel, prepare to transport into the pattern buffer. Please do so in groups. No one should go into this alone.
Everybody goes in groups of 2 and 3 into the pattern buffer.
I really like that. Because it's terrifying. This is going into the pattern buffer. That might be your last living moments.
Sure, yeah.
Right? So no one should go alone. Go in groups. Hold hands, right? If you're going to meet your fate. And some people choose to take that time to have a little conversation because, this may be the last minutes that they have, in this life.
Yeah, they have a little conversation about being afraid and doing what you could do, and being there in the comfort of watching a friend die. To which
that was Oshikun, sort of apologizing for her outburst.
And, giving a little quiet moment before the pattern buffer gets entered.
And then the ship is empty. And
although what happens to Book? Does Book also? Yeah, Book also goes into the transporter, I guess.
Yes, but he takes he has to pick up Grudge first, and he wants to say goodbye to.
Oh yeah, that's
Michael
right. Yes,
he
puts Grudge in her. I don't know, her.
She's
little cat carrier type thing, which is kind of like perspex and stuff. It kind of looks very spacey.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit like one of Stamets' mycelial tube things got repurposed into. Got a couple of holes drilled in there, and just generally made it cat proof.
And he says,
"Let's have an adventure."
Yeah. And this is where he has his final confrontation with his father as well.
Oh yes,
where he makes a very important sort of breakthrough, because he realizes that these conversations don't have an outcome. It's circular thoughts that are just going on in his head. They have been going through for ages. And so he says,
"I don't know if this is actually you, but I'm going to choose to believe it is."
And that's a really important thing. Mm-hmm. So he has this experience, which could be explained as a hallucination or weird particles in his brain. And he says, you know what? What I'm going to take out of this that's useful is the idea that I am actually talking to my dad, that his spirit lives on. Because if that's the case,
then all the other people are still there as well. Their spirits are still around, and they're not gone after all.
Yeah, I have this evidence. I can choose how I interpret it, and I'm going to choose the path that's useful to me.
Yeah.
And so that also lets him get closure with his dad.
Goodbye, Dad. And happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually very, despite his dad probably not actually being there. But if he chooses to see it that way, then it's more power to him. Burnham puts on her EVA suit.
God, it's so cool. The helmet is so tightly fitted.
Yeah.
And yet still no breathing fog. You've got all these graphics projected on the side. There's all these lights. Just a fantastic piece of engineering and costume design.
Yes.
Like there's all these lights in it as well. Like these shoulder panels that have gaps in them. And
okay, so what is she doing? Nothing.
Yeah.
She doesn't press a single button.
No,
she doesn't issue a single command.
Right. You're absolutely right.
So, I mean, she's giving emotional support to Zoe. Sorry, Zora.
Is this it? Because you're right. I mean, she just says the captain stays with the ship.
Right, but yeah, if you're in the pattern buffer, you're still with the ship.
So I think her thing is, it doesn't matter whether you're in the buffer or not.
Right.
Right? You're as dead either way.
Sure. But this brings me back to my original point about, putting the bridge right on top with an open window at the front. Like, there are safer places in the ship to sit than right at
that one I totally agree with. You could be sitting the medical freezer. Or,
for instance, any
in a shuttle.
Yeah.
Which is at the back of the ship.
Which is also
and has its own climate control.
Exactly.
And your suit as well.
Yes, exactly. There's so many more places much better suited. Maybe some of the heavily radiation shielded rooms,
Right.
Like made out of a foot of lead or whatever it is that
or
they
just,
have.
Vent the atmosphere.
Sure, that would help.
It's a nice insulator.
Oh yeah, that's a good point actually. So, this plasma is outside from somewhere else. There's a plasma barrier outside, so that doesn't make the ship is brushing against, and so any pressure, and if anything, you would want to increase the internal pressure to keep it from
buckling.
To keep the stuff from going, or from rushing into the ship.
Right, I was assuming it was a friction problem,
right?
But that also makes sense. Yeah, in the same way that fire cone around returning spacecraft, and as they enter the atmosphere, which I recently learned is not friction, it's pressure.
Well, yes, it gets part of the problem is the air gets compressed so far. It can't
in front of the nose.
It can't move aside fast enough.
Yeah. And what do fluids do when you compress them?
They heat up. Yep.
They get hotter. I think it's also what you're saying about keeping Zora company.
Yeah. If anything, it's that. Yeah.
As a captain, I'm not going to allow one of my crew members to face this on their own.
Multiple systems are failing, losing a large section of the hull, and then yes,
you can feel them dying. And this is Jonathan Frakes talked about using all the toys,
right?
Because he mentioned how Olatuna Osunsanmi insists on this bridge. It's so beautiful, make it cinematic, and here it's just Michael and the bridge interacting and facing this adventure together. The sparks flying,
the bridge literally catching fire.
Yep. And what's there to do but sit and talk?
Yep.
I understand. Let's keep talking.
That's what we can do together.
I love how she asked, are you in physical distress, Captain? And she doesn't really respond to it. It's just a grimace on her face.
Mm-hmm.
And I can sing you a song, and we get to hear Stormy Weather.
Oh, I've got it here. Do you want to listen to it?
Sure. Maybe not all of it, but because then we get a copyright strike.
There's no sun up in the sky. Stormy weather.
Yeah, the thing about copyright strikes is actually I was just thinking, we can just sit there and listen to it, and then I realized, you might be right.
Let's not go there. And there's a cut off, and yes, it's classic. Lights get shown in her eyes.
Yeah,
the doctor is looking particularly pleased with himself. So we only see a shot from her from the shoulders up, and I wasn't really expecting what kind of mess she actually is.
That's so grim. That she's sort of fused with the captain's chair,
right?
Still
Yes.
on there. Oh.
This is the beep beep chair.
Oh no.
But no, it basically Book hooks her, and then you see her arms coming up behind him, and it's everything is fine. And we get to see the Discovery in some sort of ship dock.
Your space dock.
You're right. All of the whole plating is pretty much being stripped off.
Yep, and being put back on by these sort of nanite clouds of programmable matter, which Saru says...
Programmable matter is a unique marvel.
As he's watching it with Book. And Book has a conversation with him as they've bonded on a few occasions because there's similar life experience. And he explains like the rage that he still holds for powerlessness and for his father. And weirdly, Saru, the most composed person on the ship, says,
I understand.
Because his people were culled by the Baul.
And now he sits at the table at the negotiation table with them, and he still feels rage.
Yeah. They're scarred. Of course, like he's 9 centuries away from that injustice, like that.
Right. Yeah.
It
doesn't change the way he feels about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He still watched it happen.
Yeah.
And like, depending on how long they lived, none of the Baul there present were involved in those tragedies, but it's still a deep, deep scar on their planet. And so he points out like that
we're both justified in our anger.
But allowing it to become our focus
only prevents us from achieving those things which serve the greater good.
And it's a struggle, but a worthy one.
Yeah. So, yes, eventually we have a final scene where the captain and the computer are having a little trio.
Whose is bigger?
Yeah, well. So, yes, Michael is putting the finishing touches on hers, I suppose, and Zora goes like, I'd like to make one of my own as well, and produces a family tree of the crew.
Yeah.
This is different, but it's good. It's special.
Yeah. Because that's
so small and broken, but it's still good.
Oh, sick Lilo and Stitch reference there.
Thank you.
Yeah. She's tearing up there because that was a very, very good quote. Small and broken, but still good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, wow, what an episode.
So, long episode, new season, huge amount to take in. How are you feeling before we get into the segments?
Bit
overwhelmed yourself?
Yes. I mean, how long have we been running? Not too bad. Hour and a half on the clock as of recording. With that's fairly standard for us these days.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yes. All
right. Then I'm going to challenge you with who did you think was
so fucking cool?
And it can't be Tilly because she wasn't in this episode.
I know, right. It's
we saw a photo on Zora's tree.
So fucking cool. Oh yes, we did. In fact, yes. Ooh, I mean, Stannis is my issues, my other go-to when it comes to Discovery, but
right.
Yeah, again, I think I'll have to go for the visual effects department because they did such an amazing job on the bridge and on the special effects in the corridor when the whole bridge was containing everything. I mean, they had an easy job on the outside stuff, but they really compensated for that. The effects of the plasma around the ship and how it was coming into the bridge, it was fantastic. So that's where my so fucking cool reward goes to.
I think mine's going to go to the entire cast and Cofell's script because everyone gets something to do. Right? Detmer, Reese, Bryce, let me see, Owoshikun, Dr. Pollard, Hugh, Paul, Book, the Captain Saru. Everyone gets stuff to do. This is the
Paul, George, Ringo.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Mary Jane. They all get stuff to do, which is so wonderful to see. The structure of Discovery is different from some other Star Treks that we've seen. It has a protagonist in the form of Michael, who stands for most of what we learn.
Yes.
But seeing this, such a broad ensemble, I really, really love that.
Cool, yeah.
Now, as for the
Captain's Log Supplemental.
All right, well, okay, for me that would be there's a little, when they go into the pattern buffer, you get a little selection menu where you can choose sleeping room, or orgy, party room, chill, cat cafe. What do you want to be when you're in the pattern buffer?
Wait, you think
No, but that would be...
Wait, no, but if you're imagining that now, then that's what you're making true.
Right.
Then what was Scotty doing for 60 years?
Oh, God, drinking? Maybe.
Yeah, all right. and reading technical manuals.
Yes,
He sure
exactly.
does love that.
Hey. Or maybe that's like, that's the 31st century invention that they have for the pattern buffer. It's like they've clearly advanced in transporter technology. So
sort of waiting room, like
exactly
a lounge there. Still, the idea of being in there at any moment, your existence could be snuffed out when it all fails. I don't. It's a little bit grim.
Yes.
What my deleted scene going to be? I think they filmed a really grim memorial or funeral service, even for the Dot.
Oh,
who was eaten up.
Wow.
By the environment, and it was put together. Oh, let me see. Oh, yes. Let's say Adira got tasked to do that.
Okay.
And it's her first time on doing, serious bridge stuff. And it's a little bit overwhelming. And she's not completely acculturated to the environment that everybody else comes from. She's they're a 32nd century native.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me for misgendering there. But so the funeral service that they set up is kind of bizarre, including playing back the Dot's last message, which is just this scream on a loop, and everybody's sort of standing there.
And also the holographic video of the Dots, telling to all of its fellow Dots how much of an impact they've had.
Yeah. And that it's not really goodbye. And that a particular officer was specifically not invited.
Yes.
We don't know why the Dot hated Ensign Gomez, but since he also died, that's not a problem. Oh, we didn't do a funeral for him. Oh, shit.
Funeral for Gomez, yeah. Ooh, yes.
Yeah, now I understand why they cut that. It's not a very, very nice way.
It's like Jonathan Frakes going, wait, hang on a second. We're going to get some flack if we do it like this.
You'll get it right next time.
Yeah.
Now, let's find out what we can expect in...
Next time on an all-new episode of Star Trek,
where we get to listen to some of the clues that have been selected by our chief for next episode, because this one was sent in by Tonks. Thank you again for this excellent recommendation. And all the points that they made, I thought were really, really valid, and I was delighted to watch the episode through that lens. Would you like to invite them to send the listeners at home to send their own recommendations?
Yes, absolutely. If there's a particular episode of Star Trek, any Star Trek, you love more than anybody else, and you would like us to tell about it, and you want to like us to talk about your episode, please send it to the joyoftrek.com/links. Thank you very much. And it'll disappear into the chief's big hat, in which he occasionally rummages around and pulls out a selection for the episode that we are going to next.
In his Niners hat.
Ooh.
That he is very subtly mentioned to us that's something that might make a good Christmas gift or something.
So, yes. And then who knows, maybe in an upcoming episode, you will hear some clues leading to your episode. And you'll, of course, immediately recognize them. Unlike us, because we don't have we've got a reasonable track record in getting it. We usually get it in the right ballpark.
We do have an awful lot of clues.
True.
So it usually helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see what we get this time around. We're starting off with...
The young woman over there has 300 years experience, Ambassador.
Okay. Experience with what, one wonders?
Yeah.
You are the thin beige line between order and chaos.
That sounds like a Q line.
Almost, yes. Except, Q is more of the chaos side of that.
Yeah, but he would remark on the
beige line, yes.
Beige is so weird.
I've always wanted to see an upper pylon.
Oh, DS9?
Ooh, I was thinking lower decks.
Oh.
But same vibe.
Upper pylons. I mean, they're always talking about the pylons on DS9.
Yeah. Because it has pylons.
Yes.
Constable, you can handle thieves and killers, but not one Betazoid woman.
Oh, yeah.
Is it the one with Loxana and...
Loxana on DS9. Oh, what's it called? Oh, I don't remember the name.
No idea.
Oh, I don't see how you did not get it from this clues. The episode is DS9 117, The Forsaken.
I shouldn't have hedged. I should have just said it. I knew it was The Forsaken. What's wrong with me? Oh, excellent.
It would be the most boring video, Cocky, but every once in a while, I just want there to be a video where I'm editing, because you would just see me, fist in the air, so proud of you, yelling, because I'm so happy that you got it right when I was saying it. Oh, that's so proud of you, Cocky. So proud of you.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Me too. I vividly remember those scenes. This is going to be awesome. But for now, we only have one more thing to do.
I'm leaving Starfleet.
Energize!
We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode with your friends Kay and Kaki, production and editing by our chief engineer Greg, and music by Fox Amor. Join us next time for The Forsaken, DS9 117. Visit joyoftrek.com/links to send us your recommendation, support us on Patreon, or to find us on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to Joy of Trek, and we'll see you out there.